Hi there everybody, it's Lynnea for Sassy and Crafty, and today I'm going to be making two cards with the January release items, some of the January release items. I have the Create Your Rainbow, as well as Create Your Rainbow Love stamp sets, and the Stained Glass Hearts stencil. I'm going to start with the rainbow stamp sets. I'll use that stencil on another card. What's fun about the Create Your Rainbow and Create Your Rainbow Love stamp sets is that the sentiment and the solid parts of the rainbow, the bows kind of line up and stagger so that you can have text and then color, text and then color. And if you wanted to, I feel like you could finagle these to line up over top of each other. It'd be a little wonky, but I definitely think it's doable. I'm going to show you a way to easily stamp if you want to use all of the sentiments. I wanted to use all of the sentiments and have colored bows in between, and I didn't want to have to kind of try to line everything up perfectly. I was just feeling a little bit lazy today, so I am just going to keep my stamps on their acetate. They are still on the acetate of the packaging, and I'm going to put them in my MISTI and line that up. I'm going to open up my MISTI and just kind of pop my cardstock back into place. Then I'm going to use some purple tape, and I am going to tape the acetate from the stamp packaging onto my MISTI. So I'm kind of putting this tape onto the stamp set upside down, so it's sticky side up right now. You can see the back of the tape. And then just one more time I'm going to line this up and close the door of my MISTI. So now I have tape adhering the acetate as well as the stamps onto the door of my MISTI, and this is going to allow me to stamp all of these sentiments all at once. Okay, so now I have it all positioned the way I want it to be. I'm just going to line up my cardstock using a little bit of tape and a magnet to hold that down, and I can easily ink up all of the sentiments in the Create Your Rainbow Love stamp set, ink them up all at once, stamp them down all at once. And if you want to, you could even stamp a bunch of these, and it would be really fun to use different colors of ink and blend the inks together to have a rainbow effect on the text itself. I think that would be really fun. Now that I have my text stamped on my background, I'm going to grab the Create Your Rainbow stamp set. This is the one with the solid parts of the rainbow. And I'm going to be stamping these in a rainbow of inks. The largest bow of this stamp set lines up right in between the largest and second largest text. I'm going to ink this up. I'm using Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide ink. You can use any ink that you want, but what I'm going to do is something a little bit fancy and a little special. I have Perfect Pearls water here. This is just a regular water bottle filled with water, and then I added probably about a teaspoon of Perfect Pearls. I'm going to spritz my stamp and then stamp this down. When I lift this up, I'm not only going to have that pink color, but I'm going to have splotches where the water is reacting with the ink, and those splotches are going to be shimmery. It's so hard for me to catch on camera, but in real life, there's subtle shimmer, and it's really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and just clean this largest portion of the Create Your Rainbow stamp set, and I will swap that out for the second largest arch. And that's going to fit in between the second and third largest text arches. I'm going to line this up, and this time I'm going to do the same thing, but with twisted, fossilized amber. I think I went to fossilized amber next. So again, inking that up, and then I'm going to spritz it with my water bottle that has the Perfect Pearls in it. I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to make you watch me stamp all of the bows. It's pretty simple. I used the Picked Raspberry, the fossilized amber, and then I moved on to Twisted Citron, and I finished with Peacock Feathers. This is one of my favorite rainbow combinations. Now I thought the background of this card needed just a little something. So I am grabbing the Candy Corn stencil. Of course, this is a Halloween stencil, but I think that these cute little images could be just, regular triangles and dots. Why does it have to be candy corn? I'm going to grab this stencil and just kind of straighten it up on my card, and I'm going to adhere it onto my stamped panel. You could definitely use pixie spray. In fact, I usually do use pixie spray, but like I said, I kind of felt a little bit lazy today. I'm going in with some fingertip blender brushes and my Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink pad, and I'm just going to ink up these little cute candy corn triangles. And I'm just inking up the parts that are on the white part of my card. I'm not overlapping where the bows and the text are, and that's going to give me just some nice texture and pattern in my background. Look at that, and that's all done. You could definitely go back and add some gems or little embellishments if you want to. I just left it as is. So now I'm going to move on to my second card, and for this one I'm going to use the Stained Glass Hearts stencil. This for me was probably my favorite product of the January Sassy and Crafty release. I just love this stencil. Again, I'm feeling kind of lazy today, so I'm not going to use my pixie spray. I'm just going to use some masking tape that I had right on my desk and tape that stencil right onto a piece of white cardstock. I'm going to be doing some ink blending again, and I will once again bring in my Pearlized water, but to start with, I'm just going to ink up a background just like I normally would. So I'm going to use 3 colors of Distress Oxide ink. I'm going to use the warm colors of the rainbow. So I have picked raspberry, and then I'll use carved pumpkin and finish with fossilized amber. So I'm just doing like a gradient effect here, pink to orange to yellow. The key to blending is to overlap, and when you overlap you get really pretty colors. I love the color I'm getting when I overlap the picked raspberry with the carved pumpkin. It's a pretty coral color. I'm just going to go ahead and keep on ink blending. I am putting down a lot of ink, and you'll see why in just a minute. But I'm putting down a pretty heavy application of ink. I have a heavy hand anyway, so this wasn't really anything new. But there you go, pretty. You could leave it just as is. But I wanted to step this up a little bit. So I wiped off my stencil and I repositioned it over my background, and I spritzed it with some of that Pearlized water. I'm going to hit that with my heat tool just because I don't want the ink to bleed too much. But look at this. I hope that you can see that subtle shimmer in the background. It's so hard for me to capture on camera today. We are in the middle of a snowstorm, and so it's awfully gloomy, and so I'm not catching the sparkle the way it really does shine in real life. It's such a fun effect to have that Pearlized water over the top. So now let's color up a simple image to go on top of my pretty stained glass hearts background. The image that I have that I'm going to be coloring is from the Peaches Be Anything stamp set. I love this little unicorn. She's just so pretty. And I'm going to color her white. So I'm using C0 and just kind of doing some flicking motions where I think there would be shadow. So under her hairline and then like down by her hooves as well. I'm going to be using some cool grays for pretty much all of her body. I have C0 for the body itself, and then I'm going to come in with some C7 and C5 for the hooves, and then C5 and C3 just for those little shadow bands that are right on top of the hoof. When I color very simply. Usually it's 2 markers for each color, so I start with my dark, and I add where I think the shadow should be, and then I blend out with my light. The only time I didn't do that was for the body. I just used C0. Sometimes I go back in and I blend it out with a colorless blender, but today I just liked the deeper shadows. For the little nose part of my unicorn, I'm using R00 and R02. This is kind of my favorite light peachy color combination, and I just thought this brings such a nice little rosy hue to her face. It was really pretty. I'm using Y26 and Y28 for the unicorn horn, RV14 and RV17 for the paint dripping out of the can as well as on the paintbrush. I thought this would be good to match with the background to bring in some of those warmer colors once again. Now I'm going to do something that I thought was really fun, and it's something that I don't think I've ever done with Copic markers. I'm going to blend 2 colors together. So I'm going to blend purple and blue together for the mane. I feel like that's a really pretty color for a unicorn. So I have V17, and B06 right now on the screen, but I'm actually going to switch that out for B04 because I thought that the darker blue kind of overtook that purple, and I really wanted there to be that nice gradient of color and make it just have a magical hair color for this unicorn. So I'm using V17, and then I'll come back in with my B04 and blend that out a little bit. And this is such a fun effect. I'm definitely going to be doing this more with my markers. I do it with watercolors all the time, and I've never thought to do it with my alcohol markers, and I'm really loving the way that this looks. So definitely something I'm going to be trying more in the future. So once I was done coloring this image, I cut that out with my scissors, just using a fussy cutting technique and leaving a little white border around the outside of the image. And then I also stamped a sentiment from the What's the Scoop stamp set. I just wanted a simple happy birthday stamp set. I feel like I'm always short on birthday cards, so I thought that I would turn this into a birthday card today. I'm going to create a little banner edge for my birthday sentiment by cutting up the middle and then from the edge to the middle on one side and then turning it over and doing the same thing, edge to the middle on the other side. And then I will just add the images and the sentiment to my card with foam tape. And these two cards are done. So again, here's the first one that I did using that Pearlized water and the Create Your Rainbow stamp set. Then I have that candy corn stencil in the background. That shimmer from the Perfect Pearls is there in real life, but so hard to capture on camera. Here's my second card. You can see the shimmer better now. I must have had a little blast of light coming through my window. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you again soon. Bye. Thank you again very much for watching this video. If you liked this video and you'd like to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button that is on the screen now. And here are a few other videos that I thought you might enjoy.